What is the smallest bird in the world? Is the question that I will answer by the end of this show. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The More You Know Mondays. The more you know, the more you grow. And this week on the show, I'm going to be talking about the invention of the pencil. But before we get into that, you know what we have to do? We have to start off the show with some positive vibes. And I do that every week in the form of Monday affirmations. And this week is no different from any other week. I think I got that right for the very first time in any week in recording this. So well done, give me a round of applause and all that jazz. Also, this week is a little different, only in the sense that I thought I would try and do this video malarkey so you can see, so you can watch a video version of me on YouTube recording this. If you were ever interested in seeing my face while I record it, I'm not sure if anyone is superly interested, but I don't know. I'm interested when I'm watching just like an episode on YouTube and there's like some sort of visual component. It kind of adds something for me. So I thought, do you know what? Let me try it as well for the podcast. It's just going to be me and a microphone. And if I have a guest that comes down the stairs and enters the room while I'm recording this, they might also be in the recording briefly. But I will obviously edit it out in post. Not obviously. I might not. It might be for comedy effect. It might add to something. I don't know. But I'm trying it. See if it works. And hopefully I can continue doing this video thing and it'll keep working. But anyway, if you are new here, welcome to, my living room. And if you're just listening to this audibly, then welcome to my voice for the first time if you're new here. And if you're not new here, thank you for returning. New or old, what we do here every week is I share an interesting random fact, may it be from history or something that's recently happened or just an interesting fact that I think that more people should know about. And this week, as I mentioned before, we'll be talking about the invention of the pencil. But before I actually get into that, what I really want to do is tell you about the Monday affirmations. Because what we do is this is Monday, the More You Know Mondays. And I want people to start the week with some positive vibes. You know, when you're coming off the weekend, sometimes it can be hard for you to like kickstart into the week and thinking, if only there was one more day of the weekend, I could do with one more day. And you could always do with one more day. It's like that saying, tomorrow never comes. Like, that one more day is never going to come. You only get 2 days of the weekend. Make the most of it. Take all the rest you need. And then you start back into Monday. And Monday, they always say, like, having the Mondays. And I'm not about that here. Instead, the Mondays that you should be having are the positive vibes Mondays that kickstarts the positive vibes into the rest of the week, because it's very hard doing a 9 to 5, but if you can keep that positive outlook and positive vision, then you can make a lot of things possible and happen in your life where it might not have been possible if you had a negative mindset. And so that's what I believe in, positive vibes. And is also the energy the energy wavelength that I live on myself. So it's only right of me to share the energy. So with that all being said, what I like to do every week is share my positive vibes in the form of a quote. And this week's quote is by someone that I've used for a quote previously. His name is Paulo Coelho. If you don't know of him, he has written a book that for the life of me right now, at the top of my head, it has disappeared from my brain. But I am looking through my notes to see where I used to see where I used this. Robert Greene, no. Alan Cohen, no. I've definitely used him before. Nora Roberts, Nas, jeez, snap. Paulo Coelho, what is the name of the book that he, I'm saying this like the internet doesn't exist. Paulo, see, this is like, you're gonna see all these unfiltered stuff, because, I'm recording this with the mic. I could record it, Coelho, don't even, Coelho. Maybe someone will show him Paulo Coelho, and what's the name of this book? He's Brazilian writer, because I've read the book myself, and I just can't think of the Alchemist. Oh yes, The Alchemist. Such an amazing book. Paulo Coelho. He has written a book called The Alchemist. I have read the book. I read it when I first found out about Paulo Coelho, and I was like, yo, this book is amazing. If you haven't read the book, The Alchemist, definitely 100% check it out. But this quote by him goes as follows. Trust your vibes. Energy doesn't lie. And I really like that quote, only because trusting my vibe is kind of my compass, in a sense, when I'm living life. If something doesn't feel right to me in a certain situation, or like, I always say to people, like, I can feel the energy, like in the room. You can always feel when the energy's off, or when there's certain like angry energy or like awkward energy. I can feel that, and it just feels horrible in my body and my system. And just that idea of when you feel inside yourself that something isn't right, 9 times out of 10, it isn't right, But what we do as human beings, I feel, is like we'll feel it that it may not be right, but we will ignore that feeling as if, you know what, don't worry about it. It's something that I can deal with. It's fine. It's fine. And you'll keep going, but it's just like, no, it's fine. It's something I can deal with. I can bear it, but you shouldn't need to bear it, or you shouldn't have to bear it, because if the vibe isn't right, the vibe doesn't lie. Energy doesn't lie. Like, certain person can play off in a certain way. They can say, oh yeah, I'm fine. But then you can feel that energy, and you can be like, all right, cool. You're saying that you're fine, but to me, it feels like you're not. So you have one or two options. You can either see if that's a situation where you need to press onto and be like, all right, cool. Are you okay? Are you sure you're okay? Or maybe it's one of those situations where a person says that they're fine when they're not okay, but it's just one of those situations where they don't really want to be pressed about it. They just want to be left alone, which is fair. People can say that they're okay when they're not okay, and it could just be because they don't want to really talk about it. And at the same time, I understand that talking about it is useful. It's very worthwhile to talk about things and understand them to a deeper compassion. That is not the right word that I was looking for. I do that all the time. I say words where I can't think of the word in my head or at the top of my tongue, or it's at the top of my tongue or the tip of my brain. Usually it's at the tip of my brain. And I'm just like, I know the word, but it's not. I'm going to use a different word, and it's not the right word or the right context, but it's used anyway. So trust your vibe is also kind of code in trusting yourself. If you feel that something isn't right, maybe it's not right for you. Like, not everything is right for everyone, or certain things might work for some people but not work for others, and that's okay. But when you feel that you must do something because other people have done it and they haven't complained, and if you complain, it makes it seem as though you're like, doesn't matter. Forget what other people are saying about you. Forget what other people may think about your actions, and do what's right for you. If you don't feel the vibe and you're not trusting the vibe, then the vibe's not right for you. And get yourself out of that situation to a situation where the vibe feels right for you and comfortable for you. Because I feel like that's kind of the space where most people want to be in. They want to be in a comfortable space where they feel free and safe to share whatever it is that they want to share. And if the vibe isn't right, the energy isn't right, then they're not going to share it. So I guess moving forward after this quote in positivity, what I would say is always try and make people feel comfortable in your space, in your company, because that's the only one power that you do have as a human being when dealing with other people, making sure the space that you're putting out there for other people to be in is safe and comfortable and not hostile. And that's it, stay positive and keep that positive outlook and give other people the positive space and safe space and a comfortable space to be themselves. And then I feel in a perfect world, we wouldn't have any problems, but we don't live in a perfect world. We live in a world with constant problems, and the only thing that I feel that we can do is try and understand them better so that we can overcome them. But not everyone thinks like me. But I can only hope that you guys, like, when you listen to this podcast, you get that and you move it forward into your life and into the rest of your week. But with that being said, as I confessed before, what we will be talking about this week is the invention of the pencil. And I intend to get into that. So without further ado, here we go. The invention of the pencil. Okay, so seems simple enough. These writing utensils that we use every day, we've used them since school. The pencil is an implement for writing or drawing. It's constructed of a narrow, solid pigment core in a protective casing that prevents the core from being broken or marks the user's hand. Pencils were created by physical abrasion, leaving a trail of solid core material that adheres onto a sheet of paper or another surface. In basic terms, without all that extra mumbo jumbo, the part that makes sense, put it into common English, is the fact of a pencil is basically something that you write with. Until I did this research in this episode, I wasn't 100% sure what was inside of a pencil. I assumed it was lead because they're called lead pencils, but was I mistaken when I found out that lead pencils actually have no lead in it. So go figure. But anyway, so the lead pencil, which, as I stated before, contained no lead, which begs the question, why did they call it the lead pencil? But anyway, I found this out randomly while I was doing some research about the Lake District for, I guess, 1 week. Last week I was doing, I did the question, what's the largest lake in England? And I did some research into the Lake District where I was looking up the lakes. And then on the flip turn of that, I was just like, oh, cool. So the Lake District, let me just find out some random facts about the Lake District. And then while I was doing my scroll through random facts about the Lake District, I stumbled upon this fact about pencils being invented in the Lake District. And I was just like, whoa, that's pretty cool. The pencil was invented in the UK. So I wanted to find out more about it. It's a little short history, but still interesting nevertheless. So, as I was saying before, the lead pencil that contains no lead was invented in 1564. And it was invented when there was a huge graphite mine that was discovered in Barrowdale, Cumbria in England. Graphite is basically just black carbon. But this graphite mine that was discovered in Barrowdale, it was a huge deal because not only was the graphite obviously a valuable commodity in the time, the mine that they found of this graphite, it was pure graphite. And they hadn't obviously seen this in a while, so they were like, oh, rah, well, we're going to make the use of this pure graphite. And they began mining. So this, the pure graphite was shorn into sheets that were then cut into square rods. The graphite rods were inserted into hand-carved wooden holders, which form the pencil, like that we commonly know and see today. I feel stupid. I wish I had a prop of a pencil so I could show you, but like I said, this is an advert. This is the video. Like I said, I never say the right word. I don't understand it. So this is a video, and I can prop up here maybe, or maybe over here. And I know this is going to be reversed on my video, so maybe it'll be up here or down here. I don't know how the video is going to work in the post-production and how that post-production is even going to work, because that's going to be a fun experience. I don't edit videos. Maybe I'll find a handy friend that can edit a video for me. But anyway, I'm going off on tangents. As you can see, this is my general life. I go off on hella tangents when I'm talking in general. So a lot of the time I'll be talking to my mates, and there'll be 3 or 4 tangents in the middle of one story, and then I'll switch back to the main story. So then my friends would have found out about 3 other things in that one thing that I was just telling them. But hey, everyone has their ways. My brain still works. Back on track. And we were talking about pencils. So they were called lead pencils, but apparently this was by mistake. So at the time, there was this newly discovered graphite, which was called black lead or plumbago, from the Latin word for lead ore. It looked and acted exactly like lead, and it was not known at the time that graphite consisted of carbon and not lead. So that's pretty interesting. Because of their ignorance of the time, they had, or the science at the time, they had the understanding that graphite was similar to black lead. And they didn't have the understanding that graphite actually had carbon in it, which made it not lead. It's pretty cool. So the English had this huge monopoly on the productions they had this huge monopoly on the production of pencils, since no other pure granite mines were known at the time. That's pretty cool. So the only reason why the English were able to invent the pencil were because there was no other mines in the world that had found graphite. And not only that they had found graphite, that they had found it and thought about the applicational use for it, to use it as a pencil, which is bizarre and pretty cool that the UK, or England, specifically in the Lake District in Barrowdale, they were able to capitalize and make monopoly because no one else could offer this service. So that was cool. It was also that not only that they were able to make the pencil, that you needed a specific type of pure graphite, and the pure graphite was what they were mining to make the black carbon inside of the pencils. And no one yet had found a way to make a graphite sticks. So if they had found a way to make graphite sticks, then they could have invented pencils sooner, or if someone else could have done this. There was an interesting development, which was where I found some of my original research was about this, because I saw this 1564 was the invention of black carbon, but then obviously after seeing that, 1564 was the finding of the huge graphite mine. And I also saw this information about when you type in into Google who invented the pencil, the first thing that you'll find is a title that says Nicolaus Jacques Conté, and he is known as the modern the modern inventor of the pencil. So this guy, he was a French officer in Napoleon's army, and he patented the modern method of clinfering powdered graphite with clay to make graphite rods for pencils. And by varying the ratio between graphite to clay, you could make various levels of hardness. So, in a sense, if you think about it, Nicolaus Jacques Conté, the French officer in Napoleon's army, he was the first person to figure out the science for a more reusable form of making pencils. Although they were founded in the mines in Cumbria, and they were able to make use of the pure granite, the downside of that would be that the English could monopolize on the market. But with the possibility that you can mix powdered graphite with clay to make a harder substance, and you can have different hardness for different types of pencils, and that's pretty cool, you know. So before 19 we'll talk about the 1500s. So before the 1500s, pencils consisted of thin rods that comprised of soft lead, which is why most pencils, I assume, would have been mistakenly named the lead pencil, because before the 1500s, when they were talking about pencils, they were comprised of soft lead. Anyway, these soft lead pencils before the 1500s were mostly used by artists. Funnily enough, the word pencil comes from the Latin word pensilius, which means little tail. And the name of the tiny brush, which was the name of the tiny brushes that ancient Romans used as writing instruments, is kind of interesting language, the way how things are called different things. Things are called different names to different types of people. May it be the Latins, the Romans, the modern day human. I don't know what to call us. We're not like we're not Romans, we're not Greeks. I guess I'm British, but I don't know. Like, I see, like, when they look back to our time as this era of humanity, what are they going to call us? That's an interesting question. Shout us out in the comments, or like just anything, really. I'm just interested to know what other people think about that. Or if anyone has thought about that. I guess I would call that a shower thought. But anyway, so graphite, funnily enough, which actually not funnily enough, interestingly enough, is named, graphite is a Greek word which means to write. So it's interesting that they would use graphite to create pencils if the original meaning of the Greek meaning of the word graphite is to write. That's kind of interesting. Do you think they did that knowing that the Greek meaning to graphite, the Greek word, sorry, I went blank there. Knowing that the Greek word for graphite, the Greek meaning to graphite is to write, do you think that they knew that when they were finding the graphite mines, or they were already named graphite? But I thought that was interesting to mention that was chemically analyzed in 1779 by K.W. Squeal even, and named in 1789 by A.G. Werner. So check these people out. They're like science, yo. Science. Don't know where I heard that. Remember, I think back in school, secondary school, like, I can't remember. Secondary school? No, I remember this in uni. Something about science. Hey, man. Or there might have been a show, or maybe it was a meme that we were repeating. Who knows? I can't remember. But yeah, science is dope, guys. And learn more about it. The more you know, the more you grow. I feel like I didn't say that in the intro. Who knows? It was all different. I got the video here, the camera here. Video is what you see after you record on the camera. But anyway, that's pretty much the invention of the pencil. I hope you found it interesting and you kept on with the story while going off on all my tangents. Hopefully you enjoyed that, because it was a fun exploration. But I promised you an answer to a question by the end of this show, and I aim to deliver to you the answer to that question. So I asked you, what is the smallest, or what bird is so small that it gets mistaken for an insect? And that bird is the bee hummingbird. Now, hummingbirds are known for being itty-bitty creatures, but a bee hummingbird are the tiniest versions of a hummingbird. These shockingly small flying birds, I say flying birds because penguins are birds and they can't fly. There you go. These, they're actually the smallest birds in the world. They are so minuscule that they are sometimes mistaken for insects, which, go figure with the name bee hummingbirds, makes you assume that they must be the size of a bee. But according to the National Auburn Society, these birds are as small as insects. I think I just said that. I think I was meant to say that the other way around. So the birds are just 2.25 inches long, and they weigh less than a coin, like less than 1p. Less than 1p. Imagine that, like something that's 2.25 inches long and weighs less than 1p. A 1p coin. That's small. And for anyone that is interested, I got the humming. That's how you know it's coming to the end of the show, innit? When like these words coming together are just they're not non-existent. Hummingbird. I thought it'd be interesting to also mention that the bee hummingbirds, you can find them in Cuba. So you won't find them in the United Kingdom. But if you were lucky enough to visit the country of Cuba, then you will also be lucky enough to hopefully see a bee hummingbird, the world's smallest bird. And now we have got to the end of the show, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been interesting. It's been different. There's a camera in the room, so you've been able to see my every actions and how I react to things and how I say things. And I don't know, maybe it's something different. I know that you can definitely see that reflection of me in my glasses. Maybe I should be recording without glasses so you wouldn't see the reflection. But only on the flip side of that is that although I can kind of see, I can't kind of see. Like there's blurs in it. Like I can see, but it's blurry. And I would much prefer to have glasses on so I can see better. But you know, maybe there'll be people out there, but oh my gosh, she looks so much better with the glasses. And but listen, guys, it's not that I'm wearing glasses for my own coolness. It's not fashion, cuz I need to be able to see on these streets. But anyway, hopefully if you're listening to this, you actually get to see the video version, and I don't just talk about it in the audio version. You're just like, well, hang on, he's talked about it there, he's talked about this video, there's not even a video. Maybe that's because it might take a bit of time for me to edit it, but I'm going to try and just get it out by at least Tuesday by the latest. If it's not out on Mondays, the videos will always be out on Tuesday because it just takes a bit of time for editing. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. These are my glasses. And this was me. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. And without further ado, I'll call this the end of the show. Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this episode and you want to tell your friends about it, please do. If this is the first episode you've listened to, then please check out any other episode that I have released. There are 20 other episodes, so I mean you've got plenty of listening time, and they're all an hour, so it's like watching your favorite episode of Game of Thrones. Not that I'm saying I'm as high billing as Game of Thrones, but hey man, I've got layers, I've got depth. I feel like that's a line from Shrek and Donkey says it. But yeah, man, I've got layers. There's more to find out. The more you know, the more you grow. I just got positive energy and positive flow. So I'm going to call this the end of the show because I can just say words and speak for the rest of my life. I'm sure I could speak for England, but hey ho. Let's stop that. Yeah. Hope you've enjoyed the show. I'm just rambling now. Maybe I should have a podcast which is called I'm Just Rambling, and I just ramble for an hour. That's what this was. But anyway, I've been Kory Williams, and this has been the More You Know Mondays. Thank you for listening and watching. Goodbye.